told him that obviously the outcome bothered me. But my bigger concern was how it was approached. Almost zero input from alumni members of staff, Eagle Scouts, or former members and leaders. And current members and leaders. I was a registered scout. No, I wasn't. For personal reasons, I chose not to be over the last 10 or 15 years. But I am now. Is it too little, too late? Some people say that now because I was forced to. They can have it. But I did reply to him that I should not need to be a registered scout or to have input on such a major decision. At a minimum, all members of staff and all Eagle Scouts should of what was transpiring and invited to attend discussions on this by hard copy mail, not by advertising this on a cell phone Facebook page. Meetings on the Cedar Ranch page on October 26th of 2014. The first meeting was on October 27th, the second on October 28th, and the third on November 3rd. The first two started at 5:30, the last was moved to 6:30. Not much time was given one day. Send ourselves on this. Not by advertising this on a self-news or Facebook page. They advertised meetings on the Cedar Ranch page on October 26th of 2000. Appear that, and I don't know what it does appear. I cannot understand why the executive board is upset with how the public is reacting. Everyone that I speak to looks at me with a puzzled look on their face, and they can't believe that we want to take away a camp in the Adirondack Park on a beautiful lake that it has to offer. The politics of grown men, how ironic is that I'm talking about politics, of grown men and women being involved in an organization that really is astounding. There's close to 2,900 likes and over 2,000 signatures of people who disagree with the RTC's decision to sell Camp Russell. These are all scholars, past and present, along with moms, dads, and others and potential future scholars speaking out. Their views from an outside perspective looking in, and the comments and concerns are valid, and make the leadership of this council look lame. The Scout executive and executive board and all kinds of respect from the public see right through them. Don't they think that everyone associated with this council in some way should have a say or a right to vote on which camp remains open? Or should people be told with gigantic egos which camp they should go to because the RTC has their own agenda and that the people will just have to like it? Asked or notified that there are many and people that have money to give, but they just don't bother to ask because it's not on their agenda. I know for a fact that they're to rebuild the Winter Lodge for nothing. Refused. The Winter Lodge facility was booked almost year-round with scouts, and I would think that the RTC should have made money for these bookings. Why is the leadership trying to hide these facts? They complain that they're for new youth, but they don't expand outside the board and committee asking for ideas or help. I've been contacted by many since the Facebook page was created that said they had no idea that the council was in the as it's being portrayed. Told they would have gladly assisted in either a monetary or in-kind services way with help at the camp. Why would an executive board utilize this way of thinking? Does it seem strange to anyone else but me? I believe we are being subject to this because the executive board members hold higher positions in the companies that they work for and feel they would lose status and the ability to pad their resume by on the executive council, or that they may lose out on some personal gain that none of us are aware of. The only new members of the executive board from the old land of the Unitas County, and only 4 members on the board are from the old General Herkimer Council, or Herkimer County. When this merger took place, I made the comment to my father that it would be less than 20 years before this issue came to light now. Because Oneida County has wanted Camp Russell for as long as I can recall. Why is there not equal representation from both counties? I believe this plays a major role for this plan was so oddly favored. If there was equal representation on the executive board, their plan would, at a minimum, be looked at more closely, if not rejected in whole. The executive board members that led the charge are full of that the last remaining piece of the General Herkimer Council is going away, which is Camp Russell. In reality, and if this council would have been or will be properly managed, Camp Kingsley should have been sold many years ago. Camp Russell has been the only camp for many years that has been a fully functioning boy camp that can accommodate Cubs to high adventure. Camp Kingsley was a failure as a Boy Scout camp years ago, and the lack of a lake was the reason. Camp only, it does not have the capability of variety and age range of scouters that Camp Russell does. They want to save hundreds of thousands of dollars that has subpar infrastructure facility that this council has. Does Camp Russell need improvements? Absolutely. But if they had made some improvements over the last 5 years instead of completely ignoring it, it wouldn't be in the shape that it's in. That's poor management. And every member of that executive board should be removed from their respective offices and positions for even entertaining what they're talking about. The attitude of, because this is my vision and this is the way it will be because I say so, has to go. There are people in this room who have been contacted email, phone, or text message and told to back off on their opposing or negative comments and views about this issue. This is still going on as I speak. There are people here that are counting those of us in opposition and taking and things are failing faster. This decision was more about the executive board's personal agenda and gain and not Boy Scouts. What are we dealing with? Is this a Gestapo? What Scout does this uphold? I don't think none. Camp Russell was assessed as the best of the 3 camps from National, and that assessment was paid for by this council. National to do the assessment help decide Camp Russell. So of course, they're selling that against the assessment's recommendation. It also said that Camp Russell was the most versatile. So once again, let's sell it. I wonder how many members of the executive board have actually spent on any real. Camp Russell was assessed as the best of the 3 camps national. That assessment was paid for by this council. Probably none of the non-scouters to do the assessment help decide which camp keeps. They might get $1,000 pair of shoes dirty. So of course, they're selling that. The last time against the assessment's recommendation. Council President or Scout Executive evaluations also said that Camp Russell was the most versatile of the 3 camps. So once again, see how the water on White Lake is operated. See the concept. I wonder how many members of the executive board in real time. Camp Russell was assessed as the best of the 3 camps. That assessment was paid for by this council. Probably the number displayed in all the buildings at Camp Russell. If you are a member of the executive council and haven't been there at all, or in recent years, then again, shame on you. You should be removed from your office. Ask your fellow board members who own property on the lake and stop in at camp when it's convenient, or there's an event that they can attend with their families, and and strut around like they own the place and tell you how beautiful it is. I'm sure they'll tell you how it is. I have a very dry sense of humor this stuff. With their sarcastic and unprofessional comments, humors me to no end. Our leadership has been heard on TV stating people need to put their ears to the ground if they want to be in the council. How about the Scout executive telling me that he's been all over the USA as a professional scouter, and at Camp Russell is nothing to brag about? I about fell off the stool when he told me that. Now, it might not be anything to brag about for a nationwide traveler, but to those of us in this room, something to brag about. Put a lot of time and sweat and sometimes tears into that facility. When was the last time they reached out to all past scholars, alumni, staff, and asked them for assistance? Not just financial assistance, but help with projects at hand. When was the last time the RTC problems were shared with more than just the in-crowd? There are many of us who are available, and just because we're not registered as we would like to be, does not mean we are willing to lend a hand if we are aware or made aware that there's an issue. I believe their real fear, or their fear, is that a real scholar will fit into their plans because it might actually work. When was the last time anybody from the council went on WKTV or the newspaper or on the radio to let anyone know that we needed to raise money so that we didn't have to sell cans? I don't know. I've been pretty much bombarded by just a phone call, all three of those entities. Look at what's been accomplished by less than a handful of people in 2 weeks. If you bother to create your own media asking for assistance, you'd be relatively sure that we would not even be here this evening. I see organizations and charities raise money constantly on TV when they're in need of help. This, once again, leads to mismanagement and bad and selfish leadership. If they keep going the way they are, this great council will be gone. If this proposal continues to move forward, scouting in this area will cease in a lot shorter time than most. Then we will see the big shots from the executive board leaving like rats from a sinking ship. Then what? There will be too much of anything. In closing, there are a couple things that need to be considered that have not been mentioned. I keep hearing from members in favor of this that you can't live on memories or in the past. But when Samuel Russell donated this property, his family donated more property in his name, and the leadership at that time had the foresight to acquire even more property. None of them had this camp closed because of the action of a few self-righteous, self-promoted egomaniacs who had the good of scouting and children playing second fiddle to their goals. Family that have scattered their loved ones around Camp Russell in the campfire ring, and I specifically mentioned a friend and mentor to me, Charlie Squire, whose family is here in attendance tonight. And where every scouter has had the opportunity to place something in and add to the ashes of those that came before them. These are memories, but more importantly, these are traditions that have been upheld for almost 100 years. While some of you may not have the foresight or this, these traditions need to be kept alive and continue on for the next 100 years, right at Camp Russell. When close to 3,000 people join a Facebook page, over 2,000 people sign a petition to stop the process, You need to acknowledge that you made something incorrect. Stop. Revisit the issue, swallow your pride, and with the proper input, and pay attention to those of us that have the knowledge, experience, and will to assist when asked. That is your duty as a member of the Executive Council, not to fulfill your own agenda. I'll end with a quote from a man whose life we just celebrated. Our lives begin to end the day we're silent about things that matter. That was Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you. I know there's people out there that have questions and comments. I hope there are anyways. I don't want to be the only one out there running my mouth. But what we need to do, or what I need to do is, I'll be honest with you, this has overwhelmed me. And I had no clue, no thought that this would blow up like it did on me. My son laughs at me every morning when he gets on there and says, "There's another 800 people that signed up." Or I had no idea that it would happen. If this is something that we want to continue to move forward and stop, then I need help. On the Facebook page that we find an attorney that will help us. Obviously, well, I don't know. I'm not independently wealthy. I don't know anybody here is. And attorneys cost money. Could we find a former Eagle Scout or a former Scouter that would do it? That's a nice thought. I see people shaking their heads, so that's a good thing. So we need to organize. We need a handful of people that are willing to step up and this is what we're going to do, this is what we need to do, this is how we need to move forward, this is our agenda. I can't do that on my own. I don't have much of a life, so a handful of people that are willing to step up, we can keep moving this forward, because my feeling is that it's going to take a court injunction to stop this. I keep getting that they really don't care what we're doing. They don't care that we're here tonight. They being the executive, the higher-ups, the big cheeses. And that anything we're doing right now doesn't matter. The attitude that no place in scouting. I'm not perfect, far from that. But I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I said that I did without scouting. Without my dad, without my leaders pushing me to become an Eagle Scout. That's still on my resume to this day. And people ask, both jobs, all of my jobs actually, but my professional career, I was a highway engineer when I got right out of college. And they looked at that and said, "You're an Eagle Scout?" I said, "Absolutely. Why? Is that bad?" "No, it's great. That just puts you with everybody else." When I went for my interview, they said the same thing. "You're an Eagle Scout?" "Yes, I am." It's another notch above it. I believe when my brothers went to the military, they put them a pay grade higher than everybody else because they were Eagle Scouts. Am I right? I can't see it. Okay. So, scouting is of huge importance. Now, I know that scouting numbers are down. Why? Are we not promoting scouting properly? Are we not promoting scouting properly? Look, like I said, I got upset a few years ago and said I was done. But maybe that was wrong. I knew there sometimes getting out of bed in the morning. But what they're doing is going to be the death of scouting in this area. I firmly believe that. So tonight, let's try to get some sort of organization. Numbers is down, move forward. But why? On open dining, are our leaders not promoting scouting properly? Contact National. I don't have those contacts to me anymore. I don't know where to start. Facebook page, and a lot of people with great ideas. But this is exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen tonight with 2,000 people and 3,000 members. We've got 50 people here. That doesn't look good for us. You know, we can sweet give a wheel as we want to, but if we don't have the people up, they're going to get exactly what they want. They don't care. Their decision and their minds are made up. We have to do what we have to do if we want to continue to stop it. I believe, as I said, that a complete overhaul of the Revolutionary Trails Council leadership positions needs to be done. How do we do that? I don't know. I'll be the first to admit I don't know. Is national involved? I don't know. I don't know where to start with this stuff. I need your help. I'm going to read a couple of phrases, some of the stuff that's on the Facebook page and on a couple of emails and letters that I got. A portion of the letter here, as we're starting an online petition, the board will see this as a predictable response to a very difficult decision and simply ignore it. My question is, how do you ignore 2,000 plus people? How do you do that? In the position that I currently hold in the county, or as the mayor of the municipality, I was a mayor, if I ignored a 2,000 signature petition, I'd still be swinging from the flagpole up front of the municipal building. Honestly, I would. That's ludicrous. Or this. Something here is, I truly understand the emotions and feelings that most everyone is going through with this decision. What I ask every one of us, and this was, I believe, directed at those in leadership positions, is to keep the social media sites there, keep off the social media sites. Please do not use this as a conduit or delivery system for that. If you want to voice your opinion or your feelings, please attend the camp kickoff that was held last week on Little Settlement. Again, or the plan, more of us should have been notified. I do have all the names of the members of the executive board up here. I can pick out 3 of the 4 that are from Berkeley. The 4th one might be. I have a very good letter. I won't give the name because I'm not sure if this gentleman would like his name out there. Who is a very well-to-do position in the Children's Hospital in Syracuse, who is firmly against the sale of Camp Russell. Everybody would like to see that. I'd be glad to show it to them, but I'm not going to say the name out loud. I have here a FOIL report. Because they're a private entity, they don't have to acknowledge it. But to be quite honest with you, I didn't know if they were smart. Honestly, I didn't know if they were right or not. Because when I went in and personally handed this to the Scout executive, he asked me what it was, and I told him it's a FOIL request. Puzzled look. Staring out outer space. What's that? Well, I figured that was my opening to push him a little bit. I said, well, everything I asked for on there, you got to give me by law. I didn't know if you know or not. Roll the dice. Well, so far, he must have got it to the attorney, and they said, the heck with him. But what I asked for were the names, titles, and contact information of the members of the executive board of the RTC, the names, titles, and contact of all current committee members and their respective with the council. The council budget for the years 2009 through 2015. The filing and all related documents and/or deeds known as Camp Russell. They show the various parcels that incorporate the entire camp. I'm sure most of us are aware, but some of us might not be. Camp Russell isn't one big deed. There's 6 or 7 different properties up there that form camp that are filed. I then asked for the proper paperwork for the easement of the Cedarland property. Why did I ask for that? Well, I can't find anything in writing, so I'm calculation and talk from other. That the RTC received a healthy chunk of change for an easement up at Cedarland a few years ago, to the tune of a couple $1,000. If we're in such dire straits, where's the money? I asked for any and all emails pertaining to the discussion and or directives from any member of the leadership of the Revolutionary Trust Council pertaining to the proposed sale of Camp Russell properties, including orders to not speak to the press on this subject matter and all other directives of correspondence on the proposed sale. And then here's the kicker, and there's a lady who was my village clerk and where I was the mayor, who's helping me out tonight. I asked for meeting minutes from the Revolutionary Trust Council on the proposed sale of Camp Russell properties. Committees to help discussion on this issue. Do they record their meeting minutes? I have no idea, but it'd be nice to find out. Because if they're not, I think they should be. I've yet to receive any. Like I said, they must have figured out that they don't have to give it to me. Don't you would think if they weren't hiding anything, why wouldn't they? Transparency. I heard that word so many, and I've heard that word so many times in the last 9 years being involved in the political world. Transparency, transparency, transparency. Well, I don't think you can get any more transparent than I've been. You wanted to see something, come in and see it. I don't know. I think as you can tell by my comments, I really don't hold back on what I need to say. If it's my opinion, it's my opinion. If you can prove me different, I can have a discussion with you about it. I can agree to disagree with you. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take out by your hair and hate your guts. It means I just don't agree with your point of view. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what makes America go round. I asked two questions. I asked where, and I just touched on both of these. Where's the money from the logging project from Cedarland? What was it used for? And was there an easement? And if so, where's that money and what was it used for? Someone wrote on our Facebook page, my father and grandfather were both scout leaders and spent a lot of time at Camp Russell. In fact, today my father, grandfather, and grandmother remain in a different manner. Over the years, as each spread their actions at Camp Russell, there's a lodge I stayed in with my Girl Scout troop, named after my grandfather's favorite. Another one. We can't close camps like this. It's one of the only places in all this we can get kids to put the phone on the world's all about. I thought that was pretty cool. Because I'm sitting there in my phone closet. This is the way the world is, but can't you put it down for a week? I hope so. Sometimes I'd like to throw it out the window, but never have to again. BSA may be declining in enrollment and relevancy today, but I think there's still a case to be made that youth need outdoor recreation, tradition, and activity now more than ever. There are very few ways left anymore for kids to experience that. The thought of this sacred place going the way of a subdivision, a public campground, or Walmart, contemplate. Now here's someone that talks about Russell and Kingsley as well. I have bittersweet feelings about Camp Russell as a Central New York scouting tradition. My oldest son just attended his first summer camp at Camp Russell. My youngest is a junior Weeble, and this is supposed to be his last summer at Kingsley. We've been going to Camp Kingsley since my oldest was a tiger. We've always had a great time. The staff, in my opinion, have been nothing but great. However, I cannot see how Camp Kingsley can accommodate a program designed for both Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. The place is packed. It doesn't have enough parking places. Last summer, our village was so rooms were full, and there were tents filling in all places. I would like to know what and how they plan on making this one small, busy summer camp a viable option. we should be given this information. If the decision was based on council, and I'll be surprised if it isn't, I would certainly ask your scout executive and senior staff, not the district executives, they make little enough for the work that they do, how much is being reduced for the benefit of the council. I would ask them to be completely transparent, there's that word again, about all council finances. As Robert Baden Powell, one of the founders of the Boy Scouts, once said, a week of camp life is worth 6 months of theoretical teaching in the meeting room. And we must change boys from a what can I get to a what can I give attitude. I think we more than the boys that right now about the attitude. There's been a lot of I'm curious about what they're going to do with the money, how they're going to do things with the money. I know Matt brought to my attention, if it comes to this, is there enough interest and enough people that are willing to set up a tax-exempt, nonprofit organization to take over Camp Russell and run it that way? I received a Facebook message from someone that said the same thing, and they gave me a link to it. I've done this with it. I apologize, I don't remember where the camp was, but it's been done. Is that a viable option? Did they even look at that option? I don't think so. I did manage for 2015. You would think an organization of the size that we had would have more than that for a budget. It shows these are our revenues and these are our expenditures. To the tune of over, you would think it'd be more than one page. I don't know why it's only one page. But a couple of things that stuck out to me were our United Way contribution revenue went up 297% for this year. From $9,759 last year to $38,700 this year. And we're still showing a 13% deficit.
Hey, John.
Yes?
I'm figure because I thought it was announced a couple of years ago. United Way, at least in Oneida County, which I think that's the only one around now, does not donate to the Scouts anymore. Very surprised to put that on there. If anyone knows different, I'd like to hear it.
Tom and Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Mr. Stevens, let me bring you up to speed on that one.
okay.
As per your example and your questions with the audience, the Utica, Oneida, or whatever it is, the United Way, is because of the SA Gay Type Association. However, on the backside of it is that the United Way going to Rome, there has been another chapter that's been in development is the people, former Camp Russell staff, went over to Rome and are actually donators or contributors to that. So the side of it is, and that's why you see that push. That's where you're in.
So this is a proper figure.
That is most likely a proper figure, only because the former staff alumni, such as Feature and some other people have gone over to that. They moved out of Utica area for that thing, and that's why it's like a transfer of.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
A couple of expenses that had me baffled. Postage went up 47, almost 48%. I don't know why they didn't bother to mail us anything about what they were doing. So, assistance to individuals, that's what this line item refers to. I have no idea what it is for, but it went up 455% from $2,000 to a little over 11,000, from 2,100 to 11,670. Now, if that's to help scouts that can't afford to go to camp, I have no problem with that. I really don't. I don't know what it is. It's a huge jump in an expenditure, so I thought it was really nice. And then this one really, Matt and I sat up here and chuckled about this a little while ago. It's called recognition. That's pretty vague. 92.5%. From 15,800 to 30,004 and a quarter. What does that mean? What does recognition? 92% increase given to people?
No, they actually cut down what they gave before. They used to give mugs to all the scout leaders that gave up the time for the week camp. And that went down to a patch. So I don't know what went up when you went from a down to a patch.
Gotcha.
I haven't figured it out either.
Okay. So our expenditures, or our revenue, 13.7%, and we are in the black for $5,000 on expenses. So, still can't quite figure out how you get away with a one-page report, but as I said, I tried to get the deeds and transfers and all that stuff. I spent 4 hours on the Oneida County office building because stupid me forgot that Ken Russell's in Oneida County, not Hartford County. I went over here and all looking at it like I had 3 heads. It's so old. We're talking back 1916, 1970. Even they can't find it. Yes, sir.
We have most of them.
You do.
We've done some research over the last couple of weeks.
Beautiful.
If you're interested, I can, afterwards, if you want, or email them.
Perfect.
Email them.
Awesome. See, and this is what we need to start doing. We need to start getting our ducks in a row so that we can, whether it's good, we can make a knowledgeable presentation. And other than just handing them a petition to say, look, there's 2,100 people on here that want you to stop. That's where I'm at. I'll be glad to stand up here and stop talking if anybody wants to.
I don't know if it works.
Really, John, I'll come down with a mic so you can.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully we get all this recorded so I don't have to remember it because I'll forget the
I don't know how far this reaches, so listen to the meeting, sir.
Well, I can turn this one off if I have to.
Couple things that went on for this. You remember they sold Camp Blue?
Yes.
They also logged it. We don't know what happened to that money. It was told to me last week that part of that money was a ranger camp across from Camp Russell. That's what I was told. I went to the meeting on last Thursday, and nothing was discussed about this. When I did confront executive about this, and I'm from the Deerfield Mountain Fire Department. We sponsor Structure 59, and we're one of the oldest sponsors in the
I think we're the oldest.
yeah, I believe we are. I asked us, we do a lot of fundraising. We'd be more than happy to help you with fundraising. And it's kind of like, where were you when we lost our money together? That was his answer. Not what help did he give us? And he says, where were you guys a couple years ago? Eagle Scout, we've got 7 our fire department that are either Eagle Scouts or associated with the Scouting for the last over years. And a lot of our members are really upset about what's going on. We're willing to help whatever we got to do to get this thing turned around. Stupid. I went both to New Lands and I've been to Russell. Both camps are great. I just just can't see how they can put Kingsley in as a big salt can. And I don't think they don't know what each camp looks like. But when you talk to them, they're really, really in left field as far as what's going on. The gentleman told me again, he says, Road 28 is busy. The Boy Scouts, when they camp at Camp Russell, the lights are shining in the tents. There's service. You watch your across Route 28 that's busy, and these are the things that they're coming up with. Mommy and Daddy don't want their kids to go to a tree. They want cooking. It just on and on and on and on of all these different things. And this is what they're coming up with. And believe me, I did patrol cooking, and that's where you teach these kids how to cook and life skills. I just don't understand it. It's their mentality.
No, I can't agree with you more, because one of the comments that was, other than the Camp Russell, was no big bargaining or whatever I said was in there, from the Scout executive was, what you alluded to was 28, and my response to him was, since I believe 1957 or a little bit earlier than when we started the crossing, when the Scouts not meeting. 28, go over to the conservation area, how many incidents have we had? Complete silence. I said, that's right, because it's been zero. Do you know why? Because our scouters are professional. They know enough to go a quarter mile each way. Wait till everything stops. Okay, cross the kids. Same way back. Issue, zero. But I think you guys figured out they're not. But, because there has been no incidents, there's been nothing. And I further expounded on it and said, well, if we're going to worry about when someone gets, then we might as well shut the water down because someone could drown. I said, or we might as well shut the villages down because at night or during the day, anytime, a tree could fall down on a tent and God forbid hurt someone, if not worse. I said, this. Sell them all. Bring down, because that's what's going to happen. He's not even going to look ridiculous. I said, no, I'm not. No, those are the points. That's it. That's all they've got. They've got nothing.
The other thing I asked the question is where do you plan on doing your waterfront in Kingsley? Well, we're not going to be able to do sailing as what we did in Dock. Russell, it's beautiful. I said, you have a waterfront and 2 lakes and Cedar Lakes. I says, what are you, want to close that? He said, well, we can and dredge Kingsley and make it bigger.
And swim with the snakes.
With the money. I said, okay. And I just walk away. But I'm willing to help whatever we need.
Thank you. Look, it's no, I don't think it's a shock to anybody that what they're thinking is probably not incorrect. Look, everybody in this room knows that Camp Russell is the most valuable. By far, they're going to get the most money for Camp Russell out of the 3. But that doesn't make it right, because they're going to take that money and they've done with all the other money that they got. Nobody's going to know where it went. Or, as Gary said, maybe the national. Who knows? They're not very forthcoming with their information. Yes, sir.
I think we can all agree that we think this is a zone crossing. And we can reiterate that idea on social media and in these meetings and such as that. But I guarantee you, this council exec and the council, everything we say, unless we get legal representation and officially cite them or whatever lawyers do to each other, not looking. But unless we have legal counsel to step in and officially formally help us, we're just, and they will will be right, this will go by the. So I think our next step has to be to retain a lawyer in some capacity. Because we can agree and agree and agree and agree, but nothing will change. That they will ignore us. And we get so how do we go about getting a lawyer?
Right.
Now, our first order of business, how do we get a lawyer?
Go ahead, sir. Matt, you're right.
My name is Joe Thurston. I have a camp on White Lake. I grew up on White Lake, and there's several of us here from what's called the Adirondack White Lake Association. There's two associations on the lake, called the Adirondack White Lake Association. Those across from Route 28, and others are called the Shore Association. We've been working pretty diligently to get some of the deeds, the abstracts, and so forth. As one of our members said, two of us serve on the Adirondack White Lake Board. We do have attorneys that on the lake, and we'll go back and see a couple of them are retired. No promises, but like I said, we have a couple. Several that are retired, our organization, and so forth. So we'll do what we can with you, work together, and so forth to see what we can do. We found out there's numerous on some of the property. The lake, like you say, is divided into about 5 or 6 parcels. But the key parcel on the lake, I believe there are some restrictions on it. Not sure. We're looking at it more thoroughly. But like I said, we've got a email campaign going on between board members on the association and all of the members. There's about 120 on the lake and an equal number on the others. About 250 people that are in full support of everybody here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just a short comment and points. One, I'd like to say that the executive board decisions were not unanimous. None of the decisions where there were a number of votes and there were some executive members who argued passionately and vehemently against these decisions. And there are a number of rebuttal points that I have from executive board members who did argue those points. The second thing I'd say is, yeah, legally, that's one way to approach it, but I'm wondering whether politically, any options. I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that Richard Hanna was a Boy Scout, perhaps may have attended. I don't know whether that's true or not. Maybe somebody else does know that. I know that there is a former Camp Russell staff member who lives in the Washington, D.C. area, and as soon as he heard about this, he immediately went to Congressman. No, I think politically is the only other way that if somehow, and again, I'm interested to hear about what you said with regard to the National Council's situation. I should that if there are any records of that or meetings or anything in writing on that, if that could be shown to a sympathetic ear, such as Congress or perhaps Assemblyman Butler, who has local ties and even national ties politically to Camp Russell. But I think those would be important things to find out, and perhaps if pressure comes from the national down to the local, perhaps that could be an effective means before legal expenses are incurred. That's just a thought. The other thing is, the only thing I think that the council, you're right, they're not going to listen to us talk. There are only two things that probably would stop them, or maybe 3. is legally, another is financially. If they felt, if there was some way to establish the financial support could be generated for Camp Russell, if there was some way to get a pledge campaign or something where gauge how much financial support there is across the country for Camp Russell, because there are, again, back in the 60s, and I know that there are people all over the country in important positions who are former staff members, former campers, former leaders, whatever, and know that some of them have been contacted, but if there was some way to get an idea of the financial pledge that could be made, that might be another thing that they would listen to. Those are just a couple of thoughts that I have. Again, I would like to make the point that the executive board was divided, and that there were members on that executive board who really were very opposed to this and argued as hard as they could. Not unanimous votes.
The information scoutingcentralnewyork.org.
Thanks. You beat me to the punch. You beat me to it. I was just going to tell them that report is on the Revolutionary Trails Council. My apologies. I am, I guess, incorrect in maybe putting it out there that the council as a whole was. I know they were proposed like 17 to 8, somewhere along those lines. And I asked for that when I first spoke with the scout executive, and his first response to me was, "Well, I don't remember what the vote was." And I believe he told the press that's here today the same thing. And then the more we talked, I kind of tried to not pull it on him a little bit. And sir, I'm glad you mentioned about scholars from all over, because I believe, and I can't find it anywhere in any of the financial reports that I've come across, I don't believe that they put in scholars from out of the area. I don't believe they consider their financial contributions as revenue. Why, I have no idea, because that should be included in it somewhere, right? It should be, but I can't find it. And that's revenue from camp. Why would that be generated and put in even on its own as outside councils? I spoke with the gentleman from Connecticut whose scholarship is paid until the 100th anniversary year. They're paid up. You're going to shut it down. They've already paid the beach here. How many other troops have done that? 100 years is important. We did waving their hands over there. Sorry, this lights is terrible. I can't see anybody.
We're from Skinner, 357.
Okay.
We're booked
Through the 100 years. So, there's more than one, obviously. What are they going to do for those folks? Too bad, so sad. Yeah, Senator Kingsley, yeah.
The gentleman was just talking about kind of spurring an idea in my mind. It might be something that maybe in your official capacity you might be able to help us with. But
yes,
I'm wondering if there's any advantage to the site being declared as a state historical location. And if we were to do that, it might not be able not for him to sell it, but maybe
certainly
there's
much
some
better
protection
action.
that's worthwhile.
That's a great idea. And as far as the political pressure, as much as I hate it, I'm not a good politician, folks. I say things that people don't agree with, and I say it right to them, and they don't like that. I'm probably the worst politician that's ever held. I don't consider myself as the guy that holds a political office. A politician. That angers me a little bit, because I'm not. But I have the contacts. I can contact the congressman. I can contact the assembly people. Beforehand, I didn't do that before today. I've spoken with them, but I didn't extend a proper invitation because I figured we need to find a new time. So I will do that tomorrow. Process. Mr. Lester.
Yes, first of all, John, I want to tell you, I will do whatever I can and stay on your committee until either they sell the darn thing or they take the sign down. I'll do that for you. But I want to mention that the enrollment being down is absolutely true. I think if we want to talk about saving Camp Russell, you mentioned bringing good ideas to the council. One of them has got to be ideas on increasing enrollment. Okay, I have a few ideas on that. The district executives need to get in military schools. The boys are generally not joining as Boy Scouts. They're generally going from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts. What has happened is the executives are not getting in, having a rah-rah meeting in gym class or something. So what they've been doing is just sticking them in Snapchat. It never gets, done anything. I had my own ad in the paper that our PAC paid for, and we had to show up. We need to get those executives. I volunteered to do it even myself. If they are working for new schools, you get somebody jumping around selling the bus car, it'll increase enrollment. We need to address that issue too. Funding. Yes, if they are broke, there is ways that any registered scholar or not can help. And if you go to the website you mentioned, there's something on there called Friends and Scholars. You can make a one-time donation. You can make monthly donations. I would encourage everybody to do that. It's not our favor, but I fully intend to pull my Friends and Scholars and go to the city and state on that. When the United Way pulled their funding, I immediately canceled my United Way that I've been donating for 40 years, and I work donating directly to the council. It goes directly to the council. It's not really United. So I encourage everybody to do that. But if they're going to ignore us, then I'm not going to send them a penny. Gentleman was kind of concerned that they're going to ignore us. I think John did the right thing by inviting him to this meeting. I heard they had another meeting for the executive council.
Yeah, they informed this crash or whatever. It wasn't indicative of them being here, and I told Stephen Kuhn right out, I says, it makes you look bad if you don't have some sort of representation here.
First of all, out of 25 people, they could have sent a handful of people. But number two, the next meeting of theirs is, and have this group flood their auditorium, council office, or wherever they have.
There's some that here's comments about.
One last thing though. What I want to put on the agenda for that meeting is, hey, you got to sell a property? Why do you sell two right off the bat? Why not just sell one? It seems very aggressive to immediately sell two. Once you sell it, you can't get it back. So let's sell, see how things go, encourage people to scout, have different fundraisers, like this gentleman from Deerfield said. We'll have, different fundraisers, have a lot of community input, and raise money for the scouts.
While Matt's running up there, Tom hit on with getting into the school. Go back to what I said about mismanagement and not doing their jobs. I believe people are paid to do that. And if they're not, they hold a policy. That's their job. You got to hold their feet to the fire, so to speak, I guess is cliche thing.
Under different leadership, I used to get 10, 12 Tiger Clubs every single year. Now I'm lucky if I get one or two. So we need to get people to good schools, program.
We need council to do their job. We need leadership to do their jobs.
I spent some time running on the national website, and interestingly, with all the recruiting discussion here and numbers, I think we've gotten to guess that best practices recommended by national and not being followed by the council. Simple things like show up at a local radio station and good morning breakfast, so they talk about scouts. Easy things. When I talked to Steve a few weeks ago when this was first announced, and basically the attitude that I got back was, where were you? Why weren't you doing this? Our job is to be able to make this work. Trying to reach out to every former scout, to reach out to every former Eagle. You need to come to us, which was pretty disappointing. But we thought that, is a great one. And I would extend it even a step further. I would assume that if the council has gone so far with looking at a transaction with the camp, that they may very well have a buyer already in mind, probably has plans for the site. And I recommend that, as we engage political leadership, which I think is very important, get Senator Stewart and Senator Griffo and Congressman Hanna involved in the meeting. But I think we should be making it known quite loudly that any sort of development plans for Camp Russell will be met loudly with opposition, so that any potential buyer for the property knows it's going to be really tough to whatever they plan to do with it. Because the process that they'll need to undertake for zoning approvals, for any sort of variances, will be met with protests every step of the way. I think that's going to be important to prevent any sort of here on sale.
I'm going to jump over to the other side and we'll come back. One thing I just want to mention to John quickly throughout an idea that I proposed about starting a 1C3 nonprofit. The biggest fear in the whole deal is that either A, we're not successful, or B, we are successful, and they say, all right, cool, we won't sell the place. And 3 months later, we're going to close the door, the place is sold, and nobody hears a word about it until the sale is sold. And that's the reason that I proposed that engages, go ahead, and purchase the game. Absolutely. We can still make it available to scouts. We can make it available to a wider audience. If that's what is decided, and help fund. I know John told about the turnout, but the thing about camp is there's been so many people that have come through there. The vast majority of them, have been successful, and the downside. Many cases to be successful, we've left. That doesn't mean those folks aren't still interested. That doesn't mean they would write checks for the game. Especially are passed up with them. That's kind of the idea I have thrown out with that organization. I'd love to continue discussion. I know somebody before I had that.
Thanks, Matt.
Hi. We're from Schenectady, working for 357. And I just wanted to tell you guys, you're not alone in this fight. There are a lot of us that are not in council, we're out of council. When we heard this news, we were devastated by it. Now, there's no two ways about it. What we need names, addresses, we need to have this. We need to get a campaign going where we can write these people. If they get flooded with mail, not email, but shows up on their desk, every single that tells them, this is wrong, you're not thinking about the kids, you're only thinking about yourselves, then this is something we have to do. And if they from our kids saying, this is wrong, you're thinking about yourself, and you're not thinking about me, then once again, that's something else that's tangible that sits on their desk. If it shows up in droves, and ignore us. So that's my.
Very good, thanks. I just got that's not my phone that does it, it's people sending stuff in on the Facebook page. It says, I'm sorry I could not make the meetings. I have a couple ideas that I hope may be helpful. Has anyone considered contacting the Adirondack Park Agency, DEC, or EPA for some kind of assistance, whether it be monetary or something else? I would think an issue like the one at hand would be something especially they would be very interested in as far as White Lake and Long Lake. What the Boy Scouts stand for and what the EPA is trying to do in a lot of ways are one and the same. Another thought is using sites like the one set up through Facebook and Russell as ways of means. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this, I can't see it. As ways to raise money or services to try to help with expenses of the different DSA. While physical addresses may change, personal internet pages are a constant. They do not usually like to give opinions, as I know many times the people in charge of making decisions do the best they can in tough situations. However, knowing my experiences at Camp Russell, it would be most. Thank you. Kevin Clay's Eagle Scout 2001. Pretty good idea.
now it's all so far.
John, you know my family more for our dedication to youth hockey, the Andy family.
Hi, Millie.
Hi.
How are you?
Let me tell you how many times I pounded at him when those guys would be repping youth hockey games. But anyway, so you can imagine my devotion to Boy Scouts of America, particularly. My family goes way deep from up in this area of scouting. I'm a Silver Beaver, Disc World Merit, away, camp master. I've held so many positions in scouting, so I'm not just a fly-by-night. Here's my Camp Russell jacket. I can literally walk every inch, I would say inch, Paisley and Russell, and the main area of Cedar Rapids. A lot of people can't say that. I have. Look at me. I've done it. And I will tell you, the worst thing that this council can do is to get rid of Russell. And for the new council of our scouts, do we know that? Have we been able to figure that out? I want to find out.
Simon Martinez, Mary Beth McCall, MD. I have a story to tell you about those in a minute. Mark Miller, I believe he's the president. No?
Linus.
Say your name.
Linus is moving second.
Oh, Linus.
Linus is the president.
Was he the president?
I think Mary Beth McCall was.
Lions and commissioner.
Okay. All right. Kevin Monty, Benjamin Obernesser, the other Obernesser, Jeff Owen, Anthony Pandolfo, Eugene Quadraro, David Roberts, Rick Rotund, he's a Scoutmaster, Gary Scalzo, Woodruff, we all know Spike. Now, the story I was going to tell you about these two doctors, but, you know, if that turns out to be the case, I would probably come unglued because that is such a conflict. I can't even speak about how much of a conflict that is. That's disgusting thinking that would happen. So,
Youngest, who was an Eagle Scout, started scouting. And for them, they voted for shame on it. It makes me sick. And I know a couple of them because they've been the mouthpieces of yada, yada, yada about us people. All right.
I got married, and we have a kid. And one of the things that bothered Paul Warner was, if you're not, you have no reason. But sometimes people move on, they get busy with their life. I realize they're not. Like right now, I signed up for the council today. And I've always wanted to get back to stuff. Real busy. And having a son, I'd like for him to be a Boy Scout. I'd like him to be an Boy Scout like I was. And one of the things with the Facebook page, I was looking at the pictures of Camp Russell. And for the first time last year, we brought my son camping. And he had fun.
your ears were to the ground, you had no, you weren't involved in scouting, you're not involved in scouting, you know what scouting is about. And to make a long story short, he basically run out of scouting 2 years. And the maintenance guy or supervisor, and if I'd have been there, I probably would have helped him. That is just the absolute worst way to represent not only the council that we belong to, but scouting in general. Screaming because when I did my Eagle Scout ceremony, I stood and I couldn't remember the scout oath for the life of me. I stood there, and stood there, and stood there, and Stoney stood there looking at me going, what are you doing? So, I can't remember. And I've said it for how many in favor of doing what they're doing for the most part. I understand that it was not a unanimous decision. Understood. But for the most part, they got what they wanted because they weren't very trustworthy. Well, who are they loyal to? Not so. with not being friendly. Kind, I don't know, I don't see it. Obedient, yeah, they're obedient to themselves and their agenda. Cheerful, maybe with some alcohol, I don't know. They certainly aren't morally straight. So, as I stand up here and think about those running through my head and cheek, I wrote it down. I just don't see it from this group. And once again,
Hiawatha and Syracuse, they had down to 3. They came into ours because we had 3 camps, so few scouts, and it's unused territories. So they said you got to cut down.
correct.
So they did the field study on the website showing you which ones. They said Russell was rated the best, was most versatile. It was a little bit more than Kingsley to bring it up to a Class A camp.
About $30,000, right?
Yeah, finance, they get more money for Russell. Cedar-Lands is gone. There's one other thing in the background that I don't know how many of you know. There's legislation going through right now. If a nonprofit organization owns land over 500 acres, the commission decided on this. How did they come up with their decisions? Figures. I attended one of the first meetings when they had it at Bosie's. They were asked flat out what the property values were. Well, if you got $100,000, well, where does it be a land? It would be a. They would get the money in council.
Builder who'll make a fortune and then screw everybody in the deal.
Let me let this gentleman make a comment, the mic to you, so this is recorded so that folks can hear you. Okay?
You gotta go up the money and then you attack organizations that have nothing to do with the background or want to build kids in and make them better citizens. And this is what it's all out. And then you got the bums in Washington that are making big salaries and screwing the public. Excuse me for saying that, but and you get after those politicians and you go to their office and you pound on their desks, and this is the way you get stuff done. If you don't get on your feet and get out there and desk, they don't care. They don't care about what anybody. All they're interested in what's profitable for them and putting in their pockets, and the hell with the rest of the people. And as far as they're concerned, the American people, they don't care. Excuse me for my expression, but I really get stuff like this.
You don't even apologize. I was hoping somebody would lose it.
They care about themselves. They don't care about anybody else.
That's right. You're right. But
I wanted to take a different direction. We've had a couple people here from out of council. I'm actually out of state, former staff member, and staff members for Camp Russell. We call ourselves alumni.
tell me your name and where you're at.
Oh, sure. My name is Tim Clay. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. I was on the camp staff in the 90s during the 75th anniversary. I don't know if any of you guys were there for the 75th, but it was one hell of a party. And people like myself, we want to get it to but people like me who are now out of state, and I think it's been mentioned before, there's a lot of alumni out of state. We can't do it for you, but I know, and I know a lot of others can do it monetarily and help out the camp. But that's the big thing for us when I talk to a lot of my out-of-state friends, is if there's no camp there, Camp Russell's my alumni. I never went to Herkimer Community College. It's probably a great college. I went to the University of Central Florida. I won't put my money in Herkimer County. I won't put it into Kingsley, but I'll put my money into Camp Russell. But we got trust me, just all the stuff John has done on Facebook and just what I've been hearing from a lot of there's a lot of possibilities out there. I really think if we just got organized. But like I said, I can't do it from a distance, and neither can some of my friends who can help you out monetarily. Though, if we get this going, and I really think we can. I honestly think we need to give the executive a little bit of an out here in a sense of, I don't get by with selling two camps. Get them to just convince to just sell one and say, hey, let's try and get camp to the 100th anniversary. From a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint, it makes total sense. Just the amount of people together from this. If you have troops that you guys have signed up for 3 years, right, all the way through. You could fill up, just like you did, with a little bit of marketing from out-of-state camps, which is one of the big problems this didn't figure out. Half camps, troops that come in are from out of council. Huge amounts. That's like that everywhere, but that's really the big thing. That's why you're hearing this big uproar, is because nobody out of council. And I think if we press that with just a little bit of marketing, a little bit of business and a little bit of tact, I know there's a lot, even from Wisconsin, I can see the heads banging between the old Herkimer and everything else. I have strong passions too. A little bit of tact, I think, if we want to succeed on this stuff.
That means I gotta get out.
Just a little bit, but I mean, taking it from that direction too, because, when you're dealing with these guys on the board and gals, you're talking to people who, are used to getting the things that they want, and they just placed it. I guess what I want to say is, out of state that are definitely willing to help. And actually, I think the big thing is I'm a little bit riskier than some of my friends. Some of them don't want to do anything until they know Camp Russell is safe. I'm going to put some significant dollars behind the lawyer. So if there's anybody out there, I would appreciate it. John has my information, and anybody else can contact me on the number. Yeah.
Larry, were you saying something? Where'd you go, Larry? I can't see you. I'm in my face. No,
Or anything, but I was told by that Cook County and Camp Russell about $4 million, and Kingston valued at around $400,000 to $500,000.
What was Russell? You said $4 million?
$4 million.
$4 million.
He said.
Nice.
$4 million.
Okay. Hey, let me read this quick, man. If you're finding somebody else, you can read it. This was something and it was given to the council for someone we all know. And I'm not going to give the name out because that might just cause issues for this person. It says, last July, as we were starting to set Camp Russell 14 season, we were told that the RTC Property Evaluation Committee would be visiting during the season to observe the program in action. 4 words. Not happening. Shocker, huh? They did visit within the fall just to look at an empty camp. I present on Camp Russell's behalf. Number 1, Camp Russell is known throughout the Northeast for its outstanding Boy Scout resident program. When speaking with out-of-council leaders, the typical comment I hear is, if you guys saw our camp, you would appreciate the gem. Troops from Newtown, Danbury, Connecticut have been steady customers. I remember them when I went to camp back in the 70s and 80s. The troop from Louisville, is it Louisville or Louisville? Kentucky. For years wants to come back in 2018 to help celebrate our 100th anniversary. In 2013, a troop from Catskill, New York, came for the first time. 2 more from that area attended. 10 units from outside our area, as Tim is allotted to, allows us to employ more of our older scouts for camp staff jobs. Number 2, in 1996, the dining hall at Camp Russell collapsed under the winter. The buildings built since that time have been constructed to withstand this. They're insulated and heated for winter use, and overall, less rehab is needed than elsewhere. Number 3, the shooting range set up at Camp Russell. under the leadership of District Commissioner Dave Roberts, has been enlarged in recent years. Dave has put his heart and soul into this effort, and the facility far exceeds that at any of the several dozen that this person is. Number 4, the Conservation and Forestry Program at Camp Russell has 3 times been presented with the Gold Seal Award by the U.S. Department of Agriculture as the top program of its type. Professor Jeff C. has for many years been heading up this outstanding offering and directs the NCON section at a national camp school each year. Number 5, the water. Last year, our camp committee conducted a poll as to which programs they would like to see at our camps. First on their list was motorboating and water skiing, the potential of which can only be realized at Camp Russell. Anyone during the summer has observed the sailboats anchored offshore, including 2 very fast pontoon craft. Last spring, the Camp Russell alumni and friends group spent just over $1,500 to purchase 4 stand-up paddleboards with extendable paddles to allow us to start the activity. Number 6, high adventure base. Camp Russell is situated in a perfect location for preparing and launching high adventure canoe, backpacking, or high peaks treks in many parts of the Adirondacks. From outside the area can easily find it. Camp Russell's location makes it very versatile for any off-season use by units, and the school-based Learning for Life program we conduct for several area schools during the fall and Camp Russell is number 9. Our RTC property superintendent, Cam Ranger, lives in a comfortable house at Camp Russell, behind which is a pole barn to help with his work. Number 10, changing with the times. With alumni help, we've added more up-to-date programs at Camp Russell. A former now the founder and CEO of a company that builds airplane guidance systems and puts satellites into orbit. He and his company donated the hardware and software to allow us to offer some computer-related badges, allow scouts to do merit badge research, and an opportunity for scouts. There you go. Last year, I knew I. Another potential addition might be the opportunity for a unit to be parked by mountain bike from the conservation area, proceed to Bear Creek Road and into state land to Woodhull Lake, Sand Lake Falls, or other places. Much more than can be done elsewhere. That, plus the fact that the camp would require comparatively less costly rehab, makes it well worth keeping. Keeping it with people. I might not want to read this part. Keeping it would also mean that people like Paul Overness would spend more time doing constructive work rather than time-consuming relocation to a camp that does not and cannot.
Hey, John. I noticed today on the national Facebook page they were promoting the entrepreneurship merit badge, and I think in that spirit, I think to Tim's point, there's a lot of folks outside the region that can help financially. I would recommend that we start with some sort of a GoFundMe campaign or Kickstarter or something of the like. $60,000 to make potato salad. I'm not kidding. That actually happened. I think that it needs to be a first step. I think we need to explore options like either I'm going to speak out louder than many of our words tonight. So I'm all for all that.
Get permission from the police department to do that kind of thing. You could actually do that and be in more people's face that don't pick up the paper or perhaps aren't watching the TV or aren't on social media, and that maybe would want to do that. And if it's an immediate thing, which it really truly is, because they could make it right now as we speak. Why couldn't we just form something like this? Get some kids out with some Boy Scout uniforms, get them out there, us.
I agree.
And do something like that. Just bother them in their own backyard. I think we should. That's just my thought.
It was mentioned on the page. The only thing, Kat, is that I'm not sure when you start doing that, you can get into some legal trouble, because if you step 1 inch off of scout, somebody could make it. I don't know. I would assume that you have to apply for some sort of permit.
the city. I'm certainly not against it, but being devil's advocate, which is kind of funny, because usually there's people yelling about that stuff. Does that uphold any? Does that go along with scouting? I agree with you on the I'm just throwing that. How does that make us look? I just want an answer to that, I
A
guess.
sign would say Camp Russell very peacefully, doesn't cause any problem.
Perfect.
I would argue that it does go to citizenship of the nation, citizenship of the community, the system in a civil and peaceful manner.
Excellent.
I think it is within.
Okay. And like I said, I'm not against it. I just wanted the other side to see what you guys. Yeah.
Hey,
organizations involved, not the people who actually sponsor the troops and see what they feel that they're attacking. They're the ones who actually the place and see what they feel about this. Most of them all pay for a charter, and we pay for the charter, we charter the guy. I'm not saying cancel it, at least get them to say, we're opposed to this, we need to take a look at it. Rework that.
Right. Okay, let's try to move forward here. So we've got a couple of things we've got to do. Where do we go from here? We've got to get this organized. Then we talked about that at all. We all pretty much said the same thing. For this, how do we organize to go forward? Do we just start saying, okay, everybody throw your ideas at 5 people, or give me some input here? What do you want to do?
suggestion is to maybe together kind of on a formal committee, and we can kind of take some of this burden off of you and kind of help share the work of disseminating the information to everybody else.
Perfect.
I don't know if anybody's got a more direct action you want to propose on the spot, but
by all means, don't think that it's a burden to me. I just need help. That's I'm in this till like I can't remember who said it. The sign's gone.
Do we know if the sale's gone through or how our time is before?
No. As Mrs. Lessing said, time is of the essence. They can be up there right now. They're executive meeting. They're not going to tell us that until it's sold.
So we need to get an injunction in place as soon as possible, because an injunction, if I'm correct, will stop any proceedings.
I believe you're correct.
So that
Association would be the one.
quickly, right?
I think they all just left.
What was that guy's question?
it's just his contact.
Oh,
But I have a friend who's in the White Lake Association, and I picked her. She's also an assessor, has real property information, and she's probably already working with this group. So I will contact her and see if they can do that. Contact, see if we have lawyers. There are lawyers. He can get a lawyer and give me an injunction. That would be the first step.
John, should we have like regular meetings, like schedule a meeting right now?
Well, so if we can get this, and look, I know he wants to be involved. I've been working closely with Craig. Tom, you offered your assistance. Millie offered hers. If we can get this down to 7 or 8 people, we're willing to, maybe we've got to meet once a week for the time being, or more.
So, and if you give those who are on the committee, you have a list of contact information for those who are not on the committee.
Yes, we can disseminate that in an email blast, or that's a pretty good computer guys. How fast get your head? So, I think that's going to be our best bet.
To me, John, I think, I'm just the guy with the microphone, so that doesn't make it special. But my thought is, if we can come together with a group, like John says, half a dozen people, and then our immediate course of action is trying to figure out what that legal recourse is. That's my proposal.
Okay, right now I've got myself, Tom, Craig, Matt, Billy, are you willing?
Get to the meeting.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. Do we want to do 7? Do we want to do
Papaleo, I'll do it.
Mr. Papaleo? He's on board. That'll be fun. And a little bit of background. We had a village issue. Like I said, I can buy a beer tomorrow. Tonight. That's 6. We got 1, 2 more. I can't see it. I see a hand.
It's Eric.
Oh, you're coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see that list. You didn't email addresses?
Yes, for the most part, for the email. That's 7. Are we good with that? Okay. We will set a
I have a friend who are not here tonight. She said her son is an Eagle Scout and he is in the military. And she works for so we may be able to utilize their flyers done. Hopefully it
beautiful, because I read that 3 times.
see if we can do that. I mean, I agree on the pavement with flyers. It's a way to get awareness out to those people who are on social media. Already Boy Scouts are not even aware of this. Don't get them.
Is next Tuesday good? Or should we go before that? Hurry up before that. Well, we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Unless we got anything. You guys tell me. I'll figure it out. Thursdays are good. Thursday's good with the other 6 of us. Where do we want to go? I can,
I've got an office there.
we go to the fire hall? We go to the fire hall? Okay.
Normally Monday night is designated scout night for us anyway, and it's when our Boy Scouts meet and Cub Scouts meet as well. And the other night, we can possibly accommodate and subject to now there's a lot of events going on.
Right.
Time to time, as you know.
Can you check on Thursday night for us and let me know? Thursday, is 7 good or earlier? Or is that a good time for everybody?
We're actually here.
Okay. Well, we'll leave 5 the first night and we want to keep you guys informed.
Anybody who has info online on the attorney, just a really friendly
Yeah.
Oh, if you're not part of the...
Yes, ma'am.
Your training was honored in 2011.
Yes, he was.
And he's a Star Scout, so he may...
I will give him a shout. I'm very good friends with one of his associate lawyers, so. Yes.
And Chris Bray, I believe, was a former Scouter, and I can reach out to him.
Okay. I can drive down my office.
Well, do you know Chris?
Thursday nights, yes, it's Thursday. Are we talking 7 o'clock, everybody? Thursday at 7. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You want to approach?
I will approach you. Yes. Unless you want. You can handle it.
You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
And then I'll do it.
Anything else, anybody? Thank you very much. I think we're making some
I used